To quote two wise men, are you ready for the big time? Is it ready for me?
Welcome back to They Call Me Uncle.
Today's panel, we talk about X-Men.
X-Men. And women, of course. Created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee in September of 1963, just in time for Morgan to be born.
So, I've been an X-Men fan from the 70s. We've talked about it in other videos that I started collecting not the original X-Men, but the new X-Men, the ones everyone's familiar with. This X-Men #1 in front of Carter, I still remember where I got it. All in a Dream in Denver, Colorado, down on Colfax. And the owner, Ray, who knew I was collecting X-Men, and by then I was trying to fill in the whole series, came up and he said, I've got an X-Men #1. I want $100.
Do it! Come on! Do it!
Well, I had never paid $100 for a comic book in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But that day I did, which was a good thing because I looked up the X-Men #1 in 2002, and in that condition, which is somewhere around good to good plus or very good, somewhere in there, it was
all right.
It was worth about $560. I looked it up today on Lone Star and on a few other websites, and today it's going for about $10,000. I had always believed that my giant size X-Men #1 was my most valuable, but I was wrong. This one is somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,000.
This handsome sucker right here, yeah.
So that was a really good investment. But at the time, $100 for a comic book
in 80s money.
In 80s money was a little scary. So in #1, we're introduced to the X-Men. Starts off with Professor X, and he introduces us to Cyclops, Beast, Angel, and Iceman. Now, the way they tell the story, he introduces those four to Jean Grey, who's just joining the school. They give her a uniform, and they give her the code name Marvel Girl.
Mm.
And their first villain that they battled was Magneto. And so X-Men #1 tells the story of that. Now, what was kind of interesting was usually superheroes gain their powers through science, technology,
Spider bites.
Falling into machines.
Terrible circumstances.
Yeah, your parents get shot at the
right
opera.
there, that's what I'm using. I'm using that scene.
Things like that. Wow. All these characters you see here were born with their abilities. Now, their abilities has kind of been established in the Marvel Comics that they don't show up until they hit puberty. Sometimes it's triggered by stressful events, things like that.
Mm.
And so they don't really have origin stories.
Yeah, like their origin story is just they led mostly normal lives and then puberty happened and then now Cyclops can kill things by staring at them.
So, I guess, would you say that the mutant gene, like, it was spread around by lots of people having terrible things happen to them, then got out somehow, and then they kind of became some of the first?
They kind of blame it on radiation, and the X-Men are also known as children of the atom.
Oh, from the atom bomb.
From the atom bomb, or I'm guessing.
That's creepy. I would never call them that.
Oh, a lot of times they're called children of the atom.
Oh, like Adam and Eve.
Like Adam and Eve.
Different Adam, A-T-O.
It's a pun.
Yeah.
Little punny rabbit.
Coincidental.
Punny rabbit is
Sounds like a cult in Fallout.
Curiosity questions from the bag of cats. Do you think that Stan Lee created these mutants from the idea that all teenagers are mutants? Because they're all kind of outcasts and they're going through weird. Some have powers of acne.
Some are toad.
Yeah.
Like, I would never wish that on anyone.
Well, when they started off, they actually were all fairly normal-looking teenagers. So Cyclops has his optic blast. His weakness is he can't control it. Now Beast in the comics wasn't really all that hairy. The Blue Beast, we're going to do a separate one on that. He was just kind of a stocky-looking teenager.
But is super agile.
Yep, he's strong and agile. Angel had wings and could fly. Iceman, the way Jack Kirby drew him originally, he looked kind of blobby and kind of like a snowman, similar to what you're seeing here. Later, they made him look more like he was covered in ice than snow.
I told Carter his boots are yellow because P runs down.
Well, in the comics, in my
Then
head,
wouldn't his pants be yellow too?
his boots
Doesn't
were
wear
black.
pants.
And then Marvel Girl is a telekinetic, where she starts as a telekinetic and then develops additional mental powers. Professor X is more of a telepath. So she moves things with her mind. He communicates and reads thoughts with his mind.
How is he able to stop, like, freeze time? Like, you know how they kind of do that in the movies?
They did it in the movies, but they didn't do it. What they're saying, in my view, in the movies is he's not freezing time, he's freezing people. And originally he didn't freeze people, and he seemed like was always adverse to controlling somebody's mind. And then Magneto, he would control anything metal. He could fly. I believe that his costume was made of metal, and he could lift his costume, which let him fly.
I would just assume that he's pushing away on metal things that are in the surface of the earth.
Well, and he could also put a force field around him, and they established that in the very first story. And he could definitely deflect metal
on the
objects.
cover.
It's on the cover.
Yeah.
And it's not just metal that it stops, because Cyclops can't blast through it either, and his beams would not be metal. The two X-Men later that really had to stay away from Magneto were Wolverine and Colossus, because he could use them as clubs, basically.
Better than
And
puppets.
he does horrible things to
Don't do this.
Battle doesn't run through your entire body, does it?
Because that'd be ridiculous.
Now, one thing that was kind of interesting was these costumes, they all had matching costumes. The Avengers never adopted that. The Fantastic Four did, but
Purpose to play.
You guys look like an 80s rock band.
their original appearance, they were not in matching costumes. And these costumes they wore for about 4 years in the comics. Issue 39, Jean Grey designs them all new costumes so that they're more individualized.
Nice.
And so that's kind of cool, and we'll definitely cover that. One of the ones I want to point out is Magneto's costume. This was designed in 1963. He is almost always in that costume. Definitely tried to change it over the years. They've tried different versions. Some were good, some were really bad. I'm talking about the one with the big M on his chest. I don't know what you're thinking, but stop it. This costume is so iconic. That helmet, the helmet design, you'll see it in different colors, but for the most part, it's never changed.
On the cover, he has horns on the helmet, though.
There's sometimes horns, and I was a little surprised, but if you think about it, making a statue like this, those would be the first thing to break off. And so this doesn't have the horns, but a lot of the times there's little horns on the helmet.
Cool.
And like, I would almost assume that's to just almost demonize him as the villain, you know,
Yeah.
because the classic villain is the devil.
Needs the horns, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really impressed with how well that costume has held up over the years. And I've always actually liked these costumes. As far as I know, they've only been in one video.
Hi, guys.
And it was an old one that basically back when they would just take panels from the comic.
professor needs us.
Just move the
So
lips.
move little bits. That's the only place I've seen.
From our Loki
Today,
panel.
I wish X-Men First Class, they kind of dabbled at it, and they gave us the yellow and the blue. But I
Can't commit.
just think it would be cool to see these costumes.
Even if it was just kind of like they wore it and it's like, you sure we should go out like this? And then they're like,
Just
okay.
make them change.
See,
Yeah.
if you read the comic, they like the costumes, and they talk about how well designed they are and everything.
Ergonomic and aerodynamic and flattering.
It's the same costume as Team 99 from the Goofy movie. The extremely Goofy movie. When they're on the X Games team.
So it is.
Blue and yellow. But they probably got it from this,
Oh yeah.
I assume.
As we were putting this panel together to go over the X-Men, I'd been showing Mason and Carter these statues, and I got the X-Men #1 out of the safe. And so Mason went and actually painted a potential X-Men #1 cover.
Okay, so let me give you guys a little backstory. We're going to take it back. Reel it in, okay? We were going to do this panel like months ago.
Oh yeah.
And I felt like I would like to start making these posters and do like a poster every panel. I had a week to do this before I came here, and so I was like, what can I do? So I made a digital copy first, because usually I'll either sketch it out on my sketchbook, then put it into a program on my iPad called Procreate, and then I'll design it all there, which maybe I'm showing you right here, right now. Then after that, I kind of figure out if I want it to be a painting or a drawing or a tattoo or anything like that. So I didn't have much time to make anything else, so I made this digital print and had it printed at our local print shop in Wyoming, called The Printed Word. Shout out, not sponsored. But basically, I kind of went with the same style, a little bit differently. They're all hooded, of course. The blue I made a little darker, the yellow just as vibrant, and then I just had them in a classic beat down pose, where they're all doing their thing. Beast reading a book, the Marvel girl and or Jean Grey kind of with her back towards you, kind of mysterious, but giving you that look that's like,
I'm out of your league.
well, that
No?
and well, that, but it's like I turned her backwards, so it's a foreshadow for the Phoenix kind of thing.
Oh, she turns
That's
on
why
them.
everybody is
Okay.
everybody is face forward except her, because there's something that happens.
I never caught that.
No, that's cool.
And then Cyclops being up front as the leader, Angel having his wings over them, and then Iceman throwing his balls around like he normally does. And I just thought it'd be...
Okay, you might need to read, just in case, Iceman preparing snowballs.
Not to hit you with a snowball. That will sound even worse.
Throwing his balls around. Worse than throwing his balls around.
I know, but it's funny. That's why I like it.
Okay.
And then Professor X in the background, of course.
Being
With,
all psychic
you know,
and drunk.
radaring them and like kind of telling them
Mental
where they need
waves,
to be.
yeah.
With the big X, of course, it's just an easy composition. That's why it's an hourglass, of course. With the team at the base, wings up top, mental imaging, the eyes, and then Magneto's helmet to foreshadow as well the villain. So I painted this digitally in Procreate to map it out, and then later also did a traditional version with acrylic and spray paint that we actually have the whole process on another channel called Tombstone. We'll link it in the description as well if you just want to see how the art is made. I thought I'd make a variant cover for this. And I did get it done, but we got set back a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Some of us caught COVID. It was me. Sort of. Long
And I
story.
thought you were talking about me.
Also you.
I did not get it.
Yes, Mason is in impeccable health and never gets sick. We hate him.
It's good to be Mason.
Yay.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks for watching.
Like and subscribe. Do it. Do it. Or I'll touch this priceless miniature. Do it!